Vaughan and Megan Templeton are dairy farmers at Otaitai Bush near Riverton in Southland. Vaughan is a Fonterra shareholders councillor and Megan is on the client council at Rabobank, as well as a judging coordinator for the Balanced Farm Environment Awards for Southland. The Templetons were the region's Supreme Award winners in 2009, and 5 years on, they continue to remain focused on sustainability within their business.
When we entered the awards, we thought we would really push the angle that we were trying to balance profitable business with the environment and people, looking after our people properly. But instead of a three-legged stool, we decided we'd have a four-legged stool, and the fourth leg of our stool would be the heritage of the farm, the property, the people involved in it. And for us, that had to be a bit about the flax industry as well, because that's why my family originally came here. We get about nearly 1,000 visitors a year to the mill. We're the only working flax mill left in New Zealand, which amazes me. People are so interested in their history, but they seem to enjoy it. For a registered charitable trust, I'm the chairman of the trust and currently also the main person who takes groups through the mill and explains how flax milling took place. Flax milling went through from 1913 to 1972. At that stage it had been through my grandfather and my father running the mill. And the whole industry closed down in 1972 due to cheaper imported natural fibres. So that was the end of flax milling, and they converted the farm then into an extensive sheep and beef farm. Grandad planted the original pine trees right on the beach to give some shelter for the flax mill. And Dad and my uncle, when they owned the farm in the 1970s, they started planting about 6,000 trees a year right down this coastal strip that really wasn't grazed, it was just sort of wasteland. So then Dad's logged those trees in the 90s and early 2000s, and I've been replanting in behind him as he's logged the trees. So we're not planting any new areas in pine trees, but I've made a decision that if we're going to have them, they're going to need to be good trees, and so I do all the pruning and thinning myself to make sure we grow as big a prune butt as we can. And I quite enjoy it, frankly. You look back on your days pruning and thinning and you've got something to show for it.
In 2002, Megan and Vaughan made the decision to convert the property to dairying.
I applied for a Nuffield scholarship in 2005 and was very lucky to be successful. I decided my topic was going to be the sustainability of dairy farming around nutrient losses to waterways. And so I made a conscious decision that I wanted to find out as much as I possibly could about the science of nutrient losses. We farm here at Riverton on the coast of the South Coast. The pastures are all ryegrass based. We've just started putting in some herbs, chicory and plantain in with the pasture mix and some red clover. We winter the cows principally on swedes and turnips. As an alternative to the winter crops where this leaves you with just bare dirt, we're trying a little trial with oats and moata instead of brassicas, and that hopefully will leave us with a winter active grass in behind the grazing of the cows to actually soak up that urine and turn it into more grass production. We put in a big storage pond and we put in sludge beds so we can separate the solids, and then we apply that liquid back to the farm through pods, a low application system. We actually use very, very little water inside the shed, washing the plant. It's an incredibly small amount of water. And we've came to the conclusion we're using up to 40 litres a cow just to wash the outside concrete. And so now we do all the outside washing with green wash, and we think we save up to 40 litres per cow per day of water, and we just recycle that green water, which just carries the cow manure back down into the sludge beds, and the liquid gets lifted back up to the pond, and we use the green water as required to wash the shed. So we think we've dramatically reduced the amount of water going through our system.
My roles have changed over time. Now that Vaughan and I aren't farming day to day, every day in the cow shed or converting the farm, my role has gone much more to a governance role and planning, paying the bills and the office work, and I have a lot to do with the young stock, calf rearing, and then keeping an eye on grazing of young heifers, bringing them back. Because we have Warren as a share milker, really he takes charge of his staff, but I try and be in the background and his connection, but also for his staff to talk to. it wasn't until the Environment Awards happened that I understood how many visitors we were getting coming through the flax mill. And many of those people don't now have a connection with farms. And we thought, well, they're coming to a farm, and if we're trying to break that rural-urban divide, wouldn't it be nice if we could show them a little bit more about what we do? We've got the wildlife refuge just right next door. We've got some lovely pastures, we've got the regenerating bush. So that was a thought that whipped through my head when we were talking to the judges way back in 2009, and it's taken a while to come into fruition, but we're getting there. Every year, the supreme winners of the region get asked to be in a finals judging team, and we both went into that team, and from there I was asked to be judging coordinator. So I am really enjoying that role. I've done it for 4 years now. The reason I do it really is to showcase the really good, positive things that are happening in farming.
We've got to get much better at understanding what's going through our soils and across our soils into our waterways. And we've just got to start looking after our waterways is the way we try and look after our paddocks. Because every farmer you always talk to says, I want to leave the farm in a better state than I found it. And I think if we asked them, they'd probably say the same about their waterways. So we've just got to try and understand it and get on top of this issue before it gets on top of us.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.